Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
It's a Purple Picks edition of Purple Daily here, Daily Vikings Entertainment, where we make our official picks for the upcoming game against the Houston Texans. It's a beautiful fall weekend in the Twin Cities. Boys, before we dive in here, and we'll go through our different categories, this could be a great weekend for you to go to Park Tav and watch some football, Judd, our friends at Park Tavern.
Absolutely correct. You know what? It is great. One, it's a great place to watch sports. Of course, it's the official sports bar of the Sports Dad. You can watch college football, any game that you want on Saturday. Watch the Vikings in the main bar on Sunday. And here's what I have right here, boys. I've got a Park Tavern menu. That's right. I stole it yesterday. I went to see Phil.
Do they know you have that?
Phil and Cheryl, and I said, "Can I take this? Because I'd like to read some stuff."
Can we put it in order right now? Actually,
it's a perfect place, of course, to get breakfast, lunch, or
that's awesome.
Dinner. Let's talk about breakfast. So you're there for the Vikes, right? You get there at 11 or so, and you're hungry, and you want to watch some football. It's a day of football at Park Tav. Can I interest you in the famous eye opener, which is 2 eggs your way, choice of potato. I'm telling you, a plate full of food. It's going to be delicious. A bloody comes with it, of course. You can get that as well. Park Tavern is a place that has been a part of the community here in SLP for 40 plus years. It remains and has been open. They want to see you back. So check them out. Park Tavern. They are at the corner of Highway 7 and Louisiana Avenue South here in SLP. If you want to book an event, family event, company event, parktav.net, Park Tavern, I should say, .net, and check out this menu.
Beautiful, glorious menu. Hey, people have been asking, all the rage. Oh, Macadac, what have you been drinking out of this week? What's that cup you got there? This is the brand new Pepsi 32-ounce Justin Jefferson souvenir cup right here. The cup is available right now only inside US Bank Stadium. Soon we will have information on where you can get it outside the stadium. And there's a QR code on it right here where if you scan that QR code on the cup, you can enter to win Victor's Ride, a glorious Vikings-themed Polaris SUV, ATV, I should say. And Jason from Egan actually won it last year, and Victor and CJ Ham and people from the Vikings delivered it. The Skull Line was there, delivered it to his home in his driveway. Pepsi also giving away a solo pizza stove and Vikings autographed merchandise as well. So go get your Justin Jefferson 32-ounce Pepsi souvenir cup and tweet me pictures of it at Phil Mackey if you get a hold of one. So would love to see it.
Nice choppers there too. He's got some good teeth. Jefferson does.
Victor or Jefferson?
Jefferson does. That cup?
Those choppers don't come free, by the way.
Those are good. Those are nice teeth.
The cup does when you get, when
right.
you fill it with something.
The teeth don't. No, for sure.
So let's go through here the different categories, and we'll make our official picks. What are you most confident in on behalf of the Vikings against the Texans this weekend?
I'm most confident in the Vikings defense. CJ Stroud and the Texans offense, which is going to be without Joe Mixon, but they're still good, right? And Stroud has proven himself to be in his second year and his first year, a really good quarterback. But this defense is for real. They swarm. They're nasty. They are incredibly intelligent. I am most confident that if anyone has a chance to fluster a still young QB in a hostile environment, which is why the Vikings continue to talk about how great it is to win at home and get the fans on their side, I am most confident that Brian Flores' defense is going to show up and at least going to cause the Texans problems.
Is a side street question here. Is the Texans offense scarier to game plan than the Niners offense? What's a tougher test going in? Did you think going into did you think going into last week and now going into this week, which is the tougher test for Flores? I know it's easier because we have the result from last week, but
it's the Niners from a quarterback perspective. I think it's Stroud because he's got more unknowns that he can do. I think Purdy, what he's going to do, but they're so well coached.
I think it's Niners, but Niners in part because their running game is so great and deceptive.
Yeah.
The Texans, it's more about the 3 receivers that you have to account for,
Yeah.
generally when they're all healthy and spoken for. Yep. But now that they're sort of down Joe Mixon in that run game, so I would say Niners. I get what you're getting at here though, which is so you think it might be Texans.
I think it might be Texans, yeah. And look, Stroud takes care of the football. He hasn't thrown a pick yet, just 5 last year. Like he does not throw dumb passes. He was a rookie last year, and there's gonna be some tells that probably other teams catch up on. But he took care of the football last season.
Or you think it's not? You think it's Niners is what you're saying, isn't it?
No,
you're most confident.
Well, if we're down the side street, I'm saying it's the Texans. I'm saying it's the Texans. I'm just was complimenting CJ Stroud is what I was saying. But to my favorite point of what I'm probably going into here, which is another completely different topic, is I like the Vikings have put themselves in a position where they're undefeated and they have some house money here and they can still win this game too. This is not just a shrug your shoulder game. Like, oh, they went 1-1, which is what I said I wanted them to do over these 2 games. My favorite thing is the Vikings have built up enough equity that they can show the rest of the league that they're legit. Like, this is not going to be just a rollover game for the Vikings. I love that they have won these first 2 games, last week specifically, and my favorite thing is they have a chance here to show the rest of the NFL that they are a legit team. They're not a flash in the pan.
I would say the thing that I am the most confident in is I don't think the Vikings are a fluke or lucky. I don't think it guarantees that they are going to win this game, and we'll get to those picks, but through the first couple games, the Vikings are second in the league in net yards per play. So the yards per play offensively minus yards per play allowed defensively. And it's the Saints number 1. The Saints also played the Panthers in their first game. You can say, well, the Vikings played the Giants, and that's a fair point. But the Vikings are number 2. Chargers, Seahawks, Bills, the Colts. The Colts have actually had quite the advantage, but then they couldn't score against the Packers. Falcons, Cardinals, Lions on this list. Texans are on this list with the Ravens and the Packers. Their process is not, go back to 2022 and the Vikings were just riding the line. Every game was a razor thin margin. If the Vikings can continue to keep a gap between yards per play offensively and then yards per play allowed defensively, they're going to win a bunch of games. But the Texans are one of the probably 3 hardest opponents on their schedule. But I would just say, I am confident after watching the first 2 games with this roster and this defense, the Vikings are not a fluke, and they are not lucky to start 2-0. What are you guys most nervous about on behalf of the Vikings?
So this is a great one because the reason why I told O'Connell on Monday, a day after the game, you look exhausted, was because the Vikings went toe-to-toe with a heavyweight. They didn't go 12 rounds. KO's young. He does not recall that championship fights used to be 15 rounds, and it was my opinion that was a 15-round old school Ali Frazier beat him up. And so what makes me the most nervous / curious, I guess, is you play another tough team. The Texans will come in and will punch you as well. How do you respond now? Because you're tired now. Like the Giants game, the Vikings played a tough game themselves, but they didn't play a tough team, right? Then San Francisco, that was a big league football game. And now you're playing the Texans, who will come in and play a similar style to San Fran. Phil, I believe it was a year ago or 2, you had a regular stat on how teams coming off a game against San Francisco fared, and it was not
like
well.
1-16 or something,
right?
2-15.
Because the Niners had pummeled you against the ropes. So what I am most nervous about is now we get to see if the proof is in the pudding. How do the Vikings rebound, and not only rebound, but now play basically the same game? Can you be the aggressor again? Can you get in that fight again? Can you win that fight again?
Yeah, that's why I think this is a tougher game plan overall, because now DeMeco Ryans too is a defensive-minded coach. Like you're going against a guy who has a loaded defense, which makes me nervous. That's the thing I'm most worried about, is even with Brandel playing better and the Vikings having 2 very good tackles in Darrisaw and O'Neal, I think the Texans pass rush is going to absolutely do their best to fluster Sam Darnold and going to turn him into the older Sam Darnold and not the Darnold we've seen over these last 2 weeks. I think DeMeco is going to cook up a lot of blitzes and a lot of different looks that are going to fluster Sam and then just make Ed Ingram's life, maybe specifically, I'll loop Bradbury in there too, very, very challenging. So what makes me nervous is just the front and the looks that DeMeco Ryans and the Texans defense are going to throw at Sam Darnold.
Yeah, this is a tough one for the Vikings. Are going to have to dig in on this one because, yeah, D'Amico Ryans is no joke as a defensive game planner. I would say the thing I'm most nervous about is CJ Stroud, man. That dude, even though it's ordinarily you'd say, oh, it's a young quarterback, Brian, and there's plenty of young quarterbacks on this schedule that I think Brian Flores is going to feast on. Caleb Williams, whoever the Packers run out there, whether it's Jordan Love or Malik Willis in a couple weeks. But CJ Stroud has given you all of the high-end yardage, touchdowns, like the big throws down the field. And in his career, on the downside, only 5 interceptions thrown. In his career so far. I mean, that is like, for a rookie quarterback going into his second year, over all those games to have 5 total interceptions is really, really impressive. So there's not many guys in the league that give you like MVP caliber upside with chunks of yards and touchdowns and playmaking and also limit the turnovers to the extent that he does. I mean, that's the knock on Josh Allen is, he gives you all the MVP upside and then he throws 17 interceptions or whatever it is and fumbles a bunch because he runs around. So the Vikings have, even with Dallas Turner out, the Vikings have like 16 or 17 dudes they can run out on defense and keep a rotation going. But this has been a quarterback that he has solved the puzzle for the majority of the games he's played so far. So, yes, I am nervous about a second-year quarterback. Is anyone playing or coaching for their job in this game?
Playing or coaching?
Are we still on the Ingram watch of the tornado watch? Are we upgraded?
I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet.
Well, the closer Reisner comes, one really bad game with Reisner coming back week 5 maybe. It's not imminent. It's still a watch. I'm
going to say no still. I just don't see it yet. Not yet.
Yeah, nobody on defense is really, like, everyone's just
and they're all playing.
Cooking, really. So.
And they all get to play, basically. It's rotations.
Sorts. Okay, let's get into what are the Sharps saying about this game. And you guys feel free to sprinkle in your commentary here. This is from the Action Network. Kevin O'Connell continues to prove himself as one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL. Sam Darnold has far exceeded any reasonable expectations, ranking 3rd in PFF passing grade and 5th in expected points added. And then Brian Flores' defense has played with its hair on fire, ranking 2nd in DVOA and 4th in expected points added. So all of those things, very good for the Vikings and very football-y.
Football.
I'm not sure if that defensive success, the author writes, can carry over here, however. Minnesota ranks 2nd in blitz rate at 35.5. What's funny is they were 1st in blitz rate last year, but they were blitzing like 50% of the time. So they've reduced the blitzes, but they're still 2nd.
Right.
But CJ Stroud has thrived against the blitz so far this year. He's completed 17 of 20 passes for $166 and a touchdown against the blitz, leading the league in PFF passing grade against the blitz.
Has this guy watched this team play? Brock Purdy and CJ Stroud are 2 very different players. This is a game plan defense. Like, don't fall into, because of the personnel now, Flores is not like panicked and like, we got to blitz, right? Like, Brock Purdy's a different player. He's not going to play CJ Stroud the exact way he played Purdy or God knows Daniel Jones. See, this is where the national people frustrate me because they don't know. I don't even expect them to, but you really think, watch Brian Flores games right now, right? You guys really think he's going to be like, okay, on to CJ Stroud. What do we do against Purdy? I don't think they're going to blitz as much.
So you're saying that Flores is going to take note of how great CJ Stroud has been against the blitz and say, oh, maybe we should.
Yes, he's going to give him different looks.
Yeah. What I could see is, and he does this with any quarterback, because a blitz would be, I think the way they categorize a blitz, maybe I'm wrong on this, is sending an extra rusher. So sending 5 or 6.
Yes.
But what if, like, is it a blitz? This is what I think he's going to do. If you run up like a NASCAR front or a double A gap look, and you got your 4 down linemen or your 4 pass rushers,
right,
and 2 other dudes, let's say your 2 middle linebackers are Metellus and Cashman. So you have 6 showing, and you drop 3.
Yeah,
but Cashman comes.
Okay, so it's
like,
5
like that. So that's the thing. Like, what's classified as a blitz?
Right.
Is it if I'm blitzing a cornerback, but I'm not sending more than 4, is that a blitz? I need to know how the sauce is made here.
And it does hurt that I guess Dallas Turner told Doogie in the locker room yesterday that because of that knee, he won't play You expect to be back for the Packers game, so that does hurt. But I mean, CJ Stroud is going to get different looks than Brock Purdy got.
Also, I saw this. I think Alec Lewis had this. Here it is. Yeah. So last season, snaps with a 4-man pass rush. The Vikings only did a 4-man pass rush 203 times. That was dead last in the NFL. And their pressure rate when they rushed 4 was only 28%, which was 27th in the NFL. This season, with a 4-man pass rush, already 54 snaps, which is the 12th most in the NFL. And their pressure rate with that 4-man rush is the second best rate in the NFL at 44%.
Yeah.
Through 2 games. But they have clearly, Brian Flores has decided to not obviously send the entire kitchen sink, house, and roof at the other quarterback. He has better players to get after the quarterback with the 4 guys.
Yeah, that's interesting because ideally you wouldn't be blitzing a lot as much as they did last year because now you're leaving your coverage exposed. But one more nugget here, and then we'll get to the playoff odds part of it. The Texans have allowed their opponents to run 29% of plays in their territory this season, which is the best in the NFL. So it's hard to cross the 50 against the Texans so far this year. The Vikings have run 34% of their offensive plays only in the opponent's side of the field, which is third worst in the NFL. The Vikings don't need to run plays on the other side of the 50 because they hit 97-yard touchdown passes. So something interesting. Okay, playoff odds via the New York Times. The Vikings started the season with like a 30% chance. Last week, it was even after the first week, a 39% chance to make the playoffs. It's up to 61% to make the playoffs now after the win against the Niners.
Yeah.
And then other things happening in the league, like the Rams and their injuries, 29% chance to win the division. That was like 14 last week. And they went from a 1% chance to a 3% chance to win the Super Bowl. After the win against the Niners.
Here they come.
So what are your thoughts on 61% chance to make... Actually, it's funny. It just changed since this morning. 60% now. 60% chance to make the playoffs. I don't know what happened, but...
Wow. I mean, it's 2 games in, but yeah, with the way... If this is how they're going to play, and I do think the defense is sustainable. I think the offense is well coached. The X factor, at least for a few games, is going to remain the quarterback. But if you sort of look at how things are shaking out, it's 2 games in. Might be a little aggressive. As I think about it. Like right now, it feels great. It looks great. But that might be a little bit of a big jump without having seen at least like 5 or 6 games.
Here's the teams in the division right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
To win the division, Vikings 29%, Lions 29%, Packers 38%, and then the Bears are. Let me scroll down here. 5%
the
to win the
Bears.
division.
Yeah.
It's also like they've got a jump start here, so they're 2-0. There's currently 3 teams in the NFC that are winless, so you can remove those 3 teams, and eventually, if you already have gotten a head start here, just your path to make the playoffs becomes a lot easier. So I think 60% is probably fair. If it was higher, I would have like 70 or 80%. Yeah, that's too much. But I think with a 2-0 start, are you slightly better than a coin flip odds to make the playoffs? Yeah, that seems right. Seems right to me.
In 2000, 16? I think they won their first 5 games, had a bye, went in the toilet and missed. So like that's where I need to see a way bigger sample size.
Well, they went in the toilet because their offensive line was a disaster, and they were down to like backup third string left tackle.
Philadelphia, 1 loss, and he ripped them too.
Wasn't that the year where they literally called Jake Long out of retirement to play offensive line?
And Zimmer called him soft with 1 loss.
Yeah. So this is the Athletic New York Times sort of comboing on this. They do project the Vikings to go 9-8 right now after the 2-0 start. I will note, though, that the Vikings have a 2-0 conference record. So if tiebreakers come into play with a 9-win record or 10 wins, it's yeah. So yeah, Declan mentioned that. Okay, let's make our official picks here. Judd, tell the audience, however, how they can get in football shape here as football season has started.
It's as simple as this. Do exactly what SportsDad's done and call up your friends or check out Livia Weight Control Centers. There's SportsDad right there. And you know what? Truth be told, last couple of weeks, SportsDad said, you need a tune-up. You need a tune-up. And I am on the way to getting exactly that. In fact, 1 week in, I had dropped 9 pounds. 9 pounds. You get the support. You get the food is great. It's not this plan of boxed foods. It's a plan of, hey, here's how you should eat. Yes, they do give you some of the food, but it's a plan that works. You get no sideways looks if things don't go great. What you get is support. Just check them out, livea.com, Livea, Livea.com, or give them a call, 855-GO-LIVEA. Livea, I am here to tell you it works. If you're looking to drop the weight, they've got deals as well. So check out the website and get on the same train SportsDad did and said, you know what, time for a tune-up.
I'm on Prize Picks right now. In fact, here you go. I'm just going to put this up on the screen. These are the wide receivers in that Vikings Texans game. Stephon Diggs, 48.5 is the receiving yards number here. Justin Jefferson, 75.5. That's down from like 81, I want to say, earlier in the week.
And he's injured. He's going to play, but that does probably lead to some concerns.
Yeah. Nico Collins, 72.5. So just some interesting numbers here. You can go and open the Prize Picks app and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Here's how it works. Select between 2 and 6 players. Select more or less on their projected stats and place your entry. Super easy. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code PURPLEDAILY, all one word, and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's the code PURPLEDAILY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. Prize Picks, run your game. And one last shout out to the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily, Nicolay Law, Russell Nicolay and his team. Very proud to serve the Twin Cities communities that they live in. They're just your normal everyday folks that you see in and around the Twin Cities at gas stations, games. The difference is they have law degrees, dang it. And they're here to help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay, nicolaylaw.com or 1-855-NICOLAY. Okay. Football. It's time to make our official picks. Vikings are 2-point underdogs in this game as of this morning. 57% of the bets are on the Texans. 62% of the money is on the Vikings. So more bets on Texans, more money coming in on Vikings here.
Yep.
So on the season, straight up, I am 2-0. You guys are each 1-1. Against the spread, we're all 2-0. So we'll start with Judd. Who wins and by how many points? Texans are 2-point favorites right now.
Oh, this is a tough game. Texans are good. Vikings are coming off a very emotional, tough win. Should have been a blowout. It wasn't. Oh, boy. I mean, I think the Vikings cover, but what do I think about this game? Oh, I know what I think. I think it's time to wave the flag. Vikings win this game. Vikings win this game. Vikings, I'm not going against them again. I went against them last week, and I was thinking, you know what? This team feels like there's something here. Mojo, good vibes. Vikings win this game.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. You were very skeptical going into the season, going into week 2,
so.
and now
I've been around the locker room. I got a feel. I got a feel now.
I mean, the Texans only beat the Colts by 2, and they allowed the Bears to hang in longer than they probably should last week.
Tough league, Dex.
And I don't think Phil mentioned this, but I believe underdogs were 9-1 against the spread the first 2 weeks in the NFL, which is nuts. So underdogs have performed very well, and the Vikings are once again a home dog here against the Texans. Love the term home dog, by the way. Great term.
That math seems off, though.
Oh, boy.
I saw here
because that's only 10 games. There's been
I'm gonna take a little nap.
There's been 32 games so far this year. 33 if you count last night.
I thought there'd be no math.
So wouldn't there be 33 dogs?
Let's see here. Here it is. NFL underdog. Oh, here it is. NFL underdogs of 5.5 points or more. So bigger dogs. So
the big dog. The big
dogs.
I get mocked for bringing up the Seattle Mariners, and you guys are trying to figure out what the math is.
Well, you brought up a random thing that had nothing to do with the show that you had to talk about.
I know,
with the Seattle Mariners.
We told you not to do math how many times?
But it's not that I didn't do math right. I just read wrong, which is also another thing that I do, okay? Two different things.
Yeah, I mean, when you said 9-1 underdogs, I'm like, well, there's an underdog in every game, right?
Significant dogs. Yeah. So underdogs of 5.5 points or more are 9-1 against the spread this year with 5 outright wins. That's from ESPN Bet.
Mm-hmm.
Not from Declan's head, from ESPN's Bet. I'm reading it directly. That being said, I think the Texans win this game and they cover. I think this is the one the Vikings offense is going to struggle against. I think this could be maybe even under. If we added the 45.5 over under for this game, I actually might ride the under for that one. But I think DeMeco Ryans and the Texans are going to really fluster the Vikings offense, and I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome it. So therefore, I have the Texans winning this game and covering the spread.
Don't you guys think that the run though, first of all, Aaron Jones is good. He's going to come back pissed off. He's mad about his game, right? Mm-hmm. Like a year ago, I completely agree. Like, because it'd be like, can you pass? Probably not constantly. I think the diversification of an offense that can now run, has a screen game. I mean, Addison's not playing, but Jefferson is. If Jalen's for real, like I think there's more to throw at them here.
Maybe. I feel like your story isn't adding up in this episode, though, because you said a 60% chance to make the playoffs felt aggressive, yet you have them beating the Texans to go 3-0.
And they could fall apart. Like, we're not to the meat yet. We're not to the meat. The meat is in November. Look.
Dude, we're not to the meat yet. 49ers and Texans back-to-back weeks.
Winter coming in. Just, it gets tougher. Guys get hurt. I'm not willing to make, look, this is a great fling. I am not walking down the altar anytime soon.
Okay.
Like I'm like this is a fling.
But you've had pretty money first and second dates, and we know what happens by date number 3. So
but it can all blow up.
But
in a month we could hate each other.
All right, so it's a pivotal date.
I'm gonna stick to my story here. I've been telling you, I told you all year how this schedule is gonna start. 2-0 all summer. 2-0, and they're gonna beat the Niners, and they did. And I know people want us to come on here and just pick the Vikings and wave the flag for every single game and line homers, right?
Thank you very much.
Judd did it for you, okay? I agree with Declan. I think the Vikings big, massive win last week, a physical heavyweight fight. Yeah. A really good team is coming back, looking to get right offensively too in the Texans. I think this is a great game that the Texans win by like 3 or 4 points. I could see like 24-21 kind of a thing, 23-20, a close loss. But I'll leave you with a positive. I told you after week 1, I think the Vikings start 4-1. I think this is the one. I think they lose this, and then I think they win Packers, and then in London against 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
All right, I'll give you one more thing on Sunday, intangible, that I like a lot, okay?
Okay.
First of all, the last time I checked, Texans fans didn't come here, right? So this building on Sunday is going to be packed with Vikings fans. The Vikings a year ago were lousy, and that definitely hurts the vibe and noise, right? I have seen quarterbacks as good or better than CJ Stroud get flustered. Declan has too. We have seen good quarterbacks get flustered by Zimmer's D. Flores has the same thing. I'm just saying, I think this game being at the bank is a huge advantage. I really do.
It is. I don't
disagree. It's going to be loud in there. It's going to be. I'll be curious to see if all of the doors are open again. It's going to be a nice day. I'd be tempted to close up some stuff though, just to keep that noise bouncing around.
Put in a word with the stadium people, the Vikings. We can.
I bet the Vikings will. I bet the Vikings will.
We'll be there. So she'll be there.
Have her put in a word.
Yeah, I'll put in the word.
So Judd's got the Vikings. Dex and I think it's going to be a step back, and I'll tell you it's going to be 2 steps forward after the step back. So let us know in the YouTube comment section, what do you think's going to happen? Who wins by how many? Purple Picks here on Purple Daily. Tomorrow, Vikings Vent Line live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, the place to be for Vikings postgame every single week. Purple or Vikings Vent Line at gmail.com. Vikings Vent Line at gmail.com to get your requests in. All right, boys, we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.